Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm Bonnie Violet, trans femme, genderqueer, spiritual drag artist, digital chaplain.
And I'm Pacey, transmasc, non-binary, mental health and recovery advocate.
And welcome to transjoyboise podcast, where every story, laugh, and act of joy is a stand for our community.
We uplift bold voices, share real experiences, and celebrate trans lives thriving.
Tune in, connect, and spread the joy, because trans joy is...
unstoppable.
Yes.
Yeah, nailed it that time. That's a challenge.
I know, right? 23 episodes in, but we're getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome, and we have a guest here today. We have Asher. I had saw Asher on TikTok just a couple days ago and reached out to them, and we'll learn a little bit more about Asher in a second, but do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
I'm Asher. I'm local here to Idaho, and I don't really know what else to say about myself. I'm kind of boring.
No, that's okay. And so so I saw you on TikTok, and just flipping through TikTok, and then I saw you being like, "Hey, help! Like my wife's pregnant. I want to get out of Idaho." And I was like, "Okay, you're in Idaho," so that caught my attention, of course. And then kind of listened to it a little bit, and then I think I checked back. I don't know. It was like, it seemed like it might have been the same day, or it might have been just a couple days later. And then I saw that there was an update, and it looked like you'd been having some pretty positive response. And so it got me thinking I should reach out to you. A lot of folks in our area and all across the country, and even places outside of the US, are at this point where they're feeling like they need to leave home.
Definitely.
And that's happening for a lot of different reasons. And many of us don't have the privilege or the ability to leave home, even if we wanted to or felt like we needed to, regardless of how dangerous or how, unsafe we were feeling, right? And so we kind of wanted to hear a little bit more about kind of that. So what kind of caused you to decide to,
No, you're fine.
oh my gosh. Oh, I forgot to turn off all the do not disturb bull crap. So where's my phone? Because that's going to keep making the noise too.
I have no idea.
So sorry about that.
You're good.
Because that's actually what I heard more, I think. So unprofessional. All right, there we go. Little crop shot. All right, so we'll cut that out, obviously. So, love to hear a little bit about I think I do want to get into the decision that kind of got you to decide to move, but just tell me a little bit, are you from Idaho, where you kind of grew up? Tell us a little bit about you.
Originally, I'm from Washington, actually.
Okay.
And I grew up there in a little ghetto town, and I moved here 5 years ago to be with my sister, who now lives in Oregon. And I just kind of got stuck here. Tried to move a couple times, but it just didn't end up working out. But I've been here for a while and have just been slowly, things have just started to get a little more not safe, I guess, and people a little bolder about where they stand on things. And the town I live in is really small and very red, and so finding a job there is really hard. I've only worked at 3 places in that town because they'll like me until they see my ID, and then I don't hear from them ever again,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a little, I don't know, it's a little weird.
Yeah. And how long have you been in Idaho?
5 years, since 2019.
Okay, awesome. And what was it that kind of caused you to finally say, that's it, I need to try to get out of here? How long have you been trying?
It's been about a year of us trying to plan to get out. Let's see, I would say probably just the people getting a lot bolder. We don't really go out and do anything. We don't have friends. We don't go out and to the movies or anything. Just because it's not safe, and people will say things, or sometimes they'll come up and just try and talk, and it's I'm not very big. I'm a little guy, so I'm not trying to get beat up. But just that, and then trying to find a job here is just so impossible, and then they don't treat you very well anyways, so it's
Yeah, so it's kind of the combination of not feeling safe where you're at, having to be isolated and alone because of where you live, and in part getting connected with community, and then that feeds into the ability of like getting a job, which
Yeah.
then makes it even more difficult to pay for your rent and handle the things you need. So it all just kind of like feeds into itself and just makes it that much more difficult. I don't think people understand that sometimes who aren't trans, all the little like, oh, I realize it might be difficult in this way, but it makes it difficult in every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it bleeds into everything.
Everything.
Exactly.
Absolutely everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so it can be really difficult to be like, I don't know, like being in an environment that's hostile, but I have a great job.
Right.
You know, like, I mean, I think some folks
This
might,
boss doesn't detonate me.
Exactly.
Like-
Yeah, and there are some, I think there are some places, but it is a little bit more harder to kind of get into that for a lot of folks for sure.
Yeah, I think so. It's, God, I'm thinking like 2019 when you came here, things were so different. I mean, things were so different 6 months ago, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it feels so unreal, the things that we're dealing with now, because like we've talked about it so many times that like even, you know, a year ago, if I was thinking about the things that are happening now, I'd be like, no way. Like that would even be
Yeah.
poorly written in a movie, because that's so dystopian and fucking cruel and outlandish. But now, like, that's a reality. And I think that facing that reality and every facet of your life that is affected by being trans, I think that we're definitely at this pivotal moment for a lot of people where it's like, well, when do we leave?
Mm-hmm.
And I think for us, like, we were just in Washington, D.C. for an event. And for me, it blew my mind to be somewhere that was so accepting. Like, there was a neighborhood with like businesses that were queer, and it was one of those towns that has like
This DuPont.
like the rainbow crosswalks and
That's
like
so
the flags.
cool.
We went to a restaurant that was queer, like a
It
whole
was-
ass restaurant
gay
that
as
was
fuck,
gay.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
gay as shit. Like we walked in there, and we had just left a different neighborhood that was very not. And as soon as we stepped
Yeah.
in, we were just kind of like, I was a little nervous.
'Cause
And
it was
this guy,
lit.
because he's like, "Hey, bitches," and I was like, "Okay, we're gonna be all
We're in
right
the right
here."
place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And- yeah.
Because
So-
the neighborhood before it was actually the opposite, where like
Yeah.
there was actually like a fight that was about to maybe break out, and it was actually related to like one of the folks within the group was a stud,
yeah,
and the cis girls were like not happy
not
about it,
having it
Oh.
at all.
and
we
so
were
then
just
the
right
others
next to them, so
were like sticking up for them, and it was this like. We thought, oh shit, because we'd actually gotten out in the wrong. We thought we were in a different place than we were, so we were in the wrong neighborhood. Not in the sense that it was like a sketch neighborhood. Actually, I thought it was a little too, because I was like, I'm not in Boise. I'm gonna wear what I can't wear here, there, right? And so
Right.
like I have this like netted shirt that I don't wear a bra with. I just have like little cups or whatever. And so it doesn't look like I'm topless, but it's kind of like this
Yeah.
cool little, and so I was wearing that, but we were like in this neighborhood with like families and like, it was just, I'm like,
it was a lot.
this is not DuPont.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then we got to the other neighborhood and it was like
super
completely
weird.
different
Yeah.
experience.
That's
yeah.
so cool.
But then like coming back here, in comparison to that, it's like it's like going back in time. But I feel like I've said, if there's anything that I could bring back from that experience in DC to Idaho in particular, or other red states, is it isn't like this everywhere. Because I thought that it was. I thought that all of like the anti-trans, you know, laws and bills that were coming through, I thought that that was happening everywhere. And it is to some degree, right? But it's not as fucking shit-kicking red as it is here. Like there are other places where it feels like progress is not only possible but like easy.
Yeah.
And it's like, so coming back here, it's like, why? Like why
Yeah.
are we living like this? Because there are so many reasons why we're staying, right? But it makes it even more understandable of wanting to leave. To
Yeah.
like go somewhere where not only would you be able to live there comfortably, but you would be celebrated.
Right.
You know? So I totally get wanting to get out of here for that reason,
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
which was a bummer coming back too. But
Yeah.
it was so cool to be in a place that was that accepting.
It was really cool in that aspect. I
Yeah.
still always like, it's like yay gay in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
I still wonder how the trans stuff is, you know?
Yeah.
And it seems
Yeah.
like still good. Like those spaces are still typically okay. They're not hostile, at least for trans people.
Yeah.
It might not be as accepting as you might like or
Think.
whatever. But, and we felt fine there, not a problem at all.
Yeah.
But also in relation to that, not to make it about our recent trip, but they were doing this like monument, kind of like the AIDS quilt, where they brought 250 panels from across the country. There was over 1,000 trans people and allies who made these panels.
Wow.
And they were displayed out on the Capitol Park there in the mall there, and they put them out in, they're like pink, blue, and white, and it said freedom to be, and it was really cool. Idaho brought 24 panels, which was about 10% of all the panels that were there.
Wow.
Which was like really awesome to see. And I was excited to be like, okay, we're gonna go out there. Idaho did 24. I'm like, I can't fucking wait to like see what other states did. And we were like, we like did the most.
Wild.
Like, and we were like the most, yeah, it was like, they're like, oh, in Idaho, they did this, and we're like, okay, and that's cool, but I'm also like, where are all the other people? You know, I'm like, if we did 24, then why didn't California and Texas and, you know, some of these other places do more? But I think part of it is I think that we just happen to be the right size, that there is a lot of really difficult things for trans people right now in Idaho. There's a lot of people that are kind of stepping up
slowly, yeah,
and trying to do stuff. I think our resources are still really limited. So the things we can do is like maybe show up, like be in the same space with one another.
Yeah.
It's not too much of like helping with houses and rent and even accessing gender affirming care all that much.
Right.
But we're at least like, I don't know, I feel like we're at least mobilizing a little bit. And whereas I think that there's just some of the other parts of the country, it's not as urgent.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But it is urgent here.
Yeah,
and
totally is.
Which feels so unfair.
We have to respond.
Yeah.
We can't just like.
So while you guys are planning to leave, like where are you trying to, are you headed to a bluer state?
Oregon or Washington's the goal for sure, just because those are like trans safe states, and then there's some towns in Washington specifically that are like trans sanctuary states.
Yeah, isn't Tacoma one
Yep.
of them?
Yep, they
I
like
heard
just
that too.
became one,
Mhm.
and so trying to get somewhere over there just because it'd be so much easier to like meet people. Like we have 3 friends here in Idaho because people suck, like, and you never know, and so it's just kind of like, but yeah, try and go somewhere that we could raise our kid and not have to worry that we're gonna have her taken from us because someone found out I'm trans, you know, like, or I don't know,
terrible.
you never know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's another aspect that we maybe haven't talked about too much, but it's you and your wife and your soon-to-be baby, right?
Yes.
So I'm sure that played a little bit more of an element than just like
Very
if it was
much.
just you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Probably would have taken longer if it was just me, but I worry for like them and just putting them in a situation like being at the hospital and having to worry about like how they're gonna treat us there. Like, shouldn't have to worry about that. We're at a hospital. Like,
Right.
she's gonna have a baby, but and just not knowing if like CPS is gonna get involved because they don't, you know,
Agree with
support
you,
it or
yeah.
whatever, you know, and then just nitpicking everything. So it's just trying to get somewhere that we don't have to worry about that.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Transjoy is resistance. Transjoy is community. Transjoy is here with our weekly social support group. Join us for a welcoming and affirming space where trans, non-binary, and gender diverse individuals can connect, share, and support one another. We will have peer-led discussions, social connection, and mutual support in a space where you can be heard, celebrated, and uplifted. No RSVP needed, just show up and be you. We'll gather every Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. at Roots Market. For more info, click on the link in our show notes.
Because they're trying to make it in other states where it is considered like child abuse.
Yep.
More so of if like you are allowing your child to access gender affirming care, things like that. But I feel like it isn't too far out of the realm of possibility that, you know, being a trans parent could be considered abusive. And I know that it feels like, anyway, Idaho takes a lot of cues from the deep, deep red, like Florida and Texas.
Yes.
So I feel like, it's smart to kind of get a jump on that because I think this next legislative session is going to be really aggressive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
if we look
scary.
at like history, granted, gays and lesbians are a lot more accepted now, but gays and lesbians used to lose their kids.
Yep.
yeah,
You know, I have a cousin who lost her kids like years ago in my little hometown.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, and it was just because she was a lesbian. Like, she was divorced, all that sort of stuff, then was a lesbian, and she lost her kids.
that's terrible.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely a reasonable concern to
I
have.
had to miss my best friend's wedding because they live in Texas, and I couldn't go because they have a kid, and I was worried that if we were out somewhere, someone saw that and reported it, their kid would get taken, and it's
Right.
like I can't put them in that situation,
Yeah.
but like, and I don't want to put my wife or my kid in that situation.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think that's the thing that sometimes that I think is a lot of people don't understand is like our transness, and like we can be like cool with our transness, and we could still like show up to that wedding anyway, right? But I think there's also an element of like trying to manage other people's
yeah.
that what could happen to other people because of
Because
who
of me.
we are, or how we are, and
Yep.
that's like a whole nother layer. Because I've missed my niece's birthday because they were having it outdoors at a public pool, and I was like, I don't want to like, I just don't want there to be any sort of drama. I want this little girl to have her 4th birthday. You know what I mean? Without any sort of like issue. Could I deal with somebody being crazy? Yes, but I don't want her to have to see that or have anything to do with that. So I think that's just a whole nother layer that I don't think people really like think about.
Definitely.
It's so dystopian to even talk about like all of these things. It feels like a poorly written dystopian futuristic novel. Like
Handmaid's Tale.
yeah.
Yes.
'Cause when I read that book in 2016, like right after Trump was elected, and I was reading it and I was like, this is a little far-fetched. Like it's really, I love Margaret Atwood's prose. Like the writing was just so beautiful. So like that got me through some of the parts where I was like, really? And then when I watched the show late, and I watched it after the insurrection had happened. So when people would ask me like, what is this about? I would describe it as, oh, it's what would have happened if the insurrection had been successful. And now I'm watching it and it's like they took notes from The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
So it's like this show, this story has completely evolved with our administration from like something that was so far-fetched to something that is actively happening.
Right.
And I hate that.
Well, and it's partly a part of the playbook that the Nazis in Germany did,
Mm-hmm.
and that the Nazis in Germany took from the U.S. and our Jim Crow stuff, and like, so it's like it's not a new playbook. It's just a different target group,
Adaptation of
right?
it. Yeah.
Or a smaller subset, because a lot of us were always part of the group. You know, there were queers and trans people who were harmed.
Yep.
You know, within like Germany and all of that, and they wasn't talked about as much in the same ways, but we were, and I think it's just the group's getting smaller and smaller, but it's always been us to some degree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, when we were in DC, I was talking to the other person that went with us
Mhm.
about, about this very thing. Like, when is it time to leave? Like, what would be my personal line in the sand?
Right.
And we were talking about that. Theirs was, really realistic. What would you consider yours to be?
It would probably be the fact that, like, I can't go to a doctor's office without being outed to every single person there. Like, I've sat in an office waiting to be called back, and I hear the people at the front desk talking about me, about what it is, and it's like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it happens a lot, especially in the town we're in, and like knowing that my wife having the baby, like if something were to go wrong, there's nothing they legally or medically will or can do. Like they just won't, and it's either just because of the laws or just because they don't want to, and it's kind of a like that's people's lives, like like
Exactly. And they have that law, where now it's like if you're a healthcare provider, you can refuse to give treatment, not in like emergency settings, but still if you don't believe in someone's identity or whatever, and that goes all the way down to even like pharmacists.
Yep.
You know, so there are all these people that can look at you and be like, oh, that goes against my religion or whatever the fuck like
Right.
bigoted reason they have, and then just choose to like make your life really difficult.
Yep.
And I feel like that's a really good line to have. You know, that's just like having fucking integrity and valuing yourself to like not want to put up with that bullshit.
Yeah.
So, what do you?
What's your line?
Oh Lord, I have 3, and it was back when, you know, years ago, which was actually just like a couple months ago, and I was thinking, okay, my lines are gonna be if there are camps, if there's martial law, and if we have to start wearing identifiers. And I feel like the camps are already happening,
They are.
and you know, in
They just haven't.
right, they're just in other countries,
Yeah.
and
they haven't said trans people.
not yet. Yeah, exactly. So the camps are happening, but just not for us yet.
Right.
And the martial law thing, I feel, is already, it's within 100 miles of around the border, and that makes it dicey because it's like, can you really just instate it in one spot and not for the whole? I don't know. And then the identifiers, I feel like that's on its way.
100%.
I really do.
And
like the bathroom laws, like
Yeah. I don't go to the bathroom without my service dog because I am not safe. I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
I take him with me everywhere because
That's a
people
good
leave me
idea,
alone.
yeah.
Like they're like,
I
oh, it's a
feel
sick
like
dog.
sick 'em, yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Don't fuck
I
them up.
kind of feel like the identifiers are already there though.
Yeah,
Because
that's a
we're
good
not
point.
allowed to have our paperwork certain
Yeah.
ways, or if our like my IDs don't have Bonnie Violet on them.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know. So like already at that I'm already outed, right?
Mhm.
As a trans person. And so I think to some degree that's an outing.
Yeah.
I know it's like a different level than like a stamp or like a patch or something on my body, but I mean, but also like I feel like I look like a trans person most of the time. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like it's always out there. But
Yeah. And they want to like mark the like passports and birth certificates
Yeah.
that have been changed. So that's totally an identifier. Like if you look at someone's passport and it has a mark or a code or something that says they changed their gender marker, it's like, okay, that's a fucking identifier. And you're right. I think that absolutely counts. I think in my mind I was just thinking more of like the, you know, like you have to wear this colored patch if you are supposed to use the women's room or like some bullshit like that.
Right.
Because what we've seen with the bathroom like bounty laws, they don't know how to enforce it.
Yeah.
And in the hearings, like we're like, how are you going to enforce it? And they're like, and they don't know. They hadn't.
Yeah.
And it's like I want to believe that they just hadn't thought that far out, but there's also the possibility that they have thought that far out. They're just not ready to like start talking about it yet, and that shit really scares me.
Yeah.
But it's like 2 of my 3 have already been crossed, and I'm still here. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you?
It's really hard. I think right now I feel like I'm not leaving anywhere until my mom dies, and only because she's really ill right now. Like she's probably got a year or 2 more, and like I don't know. I feel like it would take a lot for me to like leave my mom.
Yeah.
And I haven't really thought specifically what that looks like. I mean, I've even went to the point of like my partner moving away and me not going with him.
Yeah.
You know, so, and to me, I feel like that's a,
Yeah.
you know, that's something I don't want to have to do, but you know, it's something I've thought about, but I haven't really thought too critically about like, what's my trans specific line that's going to cause me to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. I think in my mind, I just assumed that I would make my mom go with me. So,
well, there's
like,
pack
we're
your
leaving
shit.
Mom.
there's that. Yeah. There's that, I guess.
But it feels, because when we're here, everything feels so dire and like it is going to happen. This horrible shit is right on top of us. But somewhere blue, like when you guys leave, I feel like it's not going to feel as imminent.
Yeah.
Because that was the vibe that I had the whole weekend, was like, oh, we have a chance.
Yeah.
You know, like we have people,
Hope.
yeah, there's hope. People are actively fighting for us.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem as bad, but like when you come back here, it's just like that's all you can really think about.
The world's on fire.
Yeah, definitely.
So
And so it really sounded like once you were going to become a dad, had to deal with the hospitals and that sort of stuff, it really became like, this is not okay.
Yeah, just putting my family at risk, putting an innocent kid at risk, like, and my wife, like, it's not their fault, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just messed up.
And it's not like your fault either.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just a trans person. It's other people's
Just
shit,
trying
but I
to
understand.
exist.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And kind of, Pacey had kind of alluded to the fact that you're getting out of here. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about the fact that you're going to get out of here and what you needed to do to make that happen?
Yeah, I made a GoFundMe. It like took a little while. I was just posting on Facebook for a while and like Instagram, but I was just getting a lot of negative response on there.
Okay, like what?
I was ending up on like the wrong side of that stuff. So a lot of transphobic, like, you should just stay there, like, why are you even doing, like, you're lying, all this stuff. And I'm like, all right. So I ended up going to TikTok and made videos on there, and it took about a week before I made one that actually got some traction, and it blew up. It was crazy. It was like overnight. That just so many people have from all over the world have donated and have like supported us and given us ideas and like good places to go and not so safe places to go, and it's been really crazy. Like, it was incredible. It was crazy. I did not expect it to happen at all. Like, but yeah, the positive response on there has been mind-blowing.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what your plan is? What you feel comfortable with saying?
Yeah, we're just trying to, right now, finding a house that we can like rent out, because we do have our dog and then a couple cats and then obviously the baby. Just trying to find something in one of those two blue states and one of the blue areas, so I can transfer my job over to wherever it is we end up going.
Gotcha.
And kind of starting over, basically.
that'll be, and you're gonna be able to transfer your job.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
Well,
should be.
That's good. That's lucky, because that's.
If not, find something close enough, you know.
Right. Yeah. I think it'll be really exciting. Like, it sucks having to leave, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there are a lot of people that feel upset or, I don't know, guilt, whatever whatever thing they're feeling about having to leave or wanting to leave. I think it's also really exciting, and it's going to be a really cool opportunity to start over. You know, 'cause, like,
Definitely.
you get to live your truth in a place that is more accepting, and you don't have to constantly be worrying about things that you shouldn't have to be worrying about. You know, I think that's really fucking cool.
Totally. And you said potentially Washington. In the beginning, you said you were from Washington.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility to kind of move back near with your family, or is that not it?
My family's sadly very transphobic.
Gotcha, yeah.
They're not supportive at all, and so it's just kind of been us, you know.
Yeah.
Just
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Many of us get it, unfortunately. Yeah.
not so fun, but
Either way, you're going to get to go to somewhere.
yes.
And I know you've been kind of like, I think part of that from what I was listening in some of the videos too, it's like just talk about like a mobile home or buying a place or renting a place, like, or whatever. And
Trying
what
to
are
just
you-
find just whatever options we can. I've messaged quite a few people. It's just a lot of people don't want to wait until like I don't know, we're able to get there or whatever,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
or they don't want to do it because we live so far away and we can't be there to
like,
do all of the stuff in person, and it's just people don't respond very much.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you think your timeline is? When do you think y'all are gonna be able to leave?
July 1st or the first week at least is our goal for sure.
That's coming
Right
up.
around
Yeah.
the corner,
So they don't have to wait that long.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm willing to pay you.
That's crazy.
I'll send
Yeah.
you some money. We'll figure it out when we get there, right? Oh, wow.
Literally.
That's gonna be a cool time to move, especially like if you do go to Washington, because it's gonna be nice weather. It's gonna be beautiful. You can go to the beach.
Right on
See.
Pride Month.
Have you been able to connect with any of the? There are like some groups that maybe are a little more underground that are kind of helping people relocate? Have you been able to connect with any of those?
I've reached
folks?
out to a few of them. I've never really heard back from most of them.
Yeah.
We did attempt the one to try and get to like Canada, but then I got an email just saying that our situation wasn't dire enough, and so
Okay.
it was, just either never responded or it was just told
Yeah,
that it
yeah.
wasn't
There's
it
a-
wasn't enough.
We
and
have a
so-
couple of connections I want to try to connect you with
Okay.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Won't say it online here, but
Right.
that might be able to help with maybe even if it's just like if you find a city or place you want to go, that might be able to help you once you land there,
Right.
or that sort of thing. So
I think that
we have a
would
couple
work.
of
Yeah.
folks that I think we could probably connect you with.
That'd be awesome.
For sure.
Yeah, I
But
think
you
so
know,
too.
I don't know. I think that's part of the challenges. Is like we do hear a lot of these things about support for trans people, but then to be able to actually
Get
get
that.
into it
Yeah.
can be really difficult.
Very.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Me too.
Yeah. And I know, like, how have you been doing with the bad responses that you've been getting on social media?
Has TikTok been bad
Mm,
as well, or has it been mostly just all?
Sometimes, you get your trolls, but for the most part, it was Facebook that people would just message me and
Facebook is awful.
be like, "We don't want your mental illness here," and I'm like, "Okay," like, they don't want you either, but it is what it is. Like, there's always gonna be haters, like.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, even on TikTok, there's like our algorithm is good, but there's a whole other side of that algorithm that's fucking terrible. Like all these maggots with like their Republican makeup and their fucking red hats and their bigotry and fucking whatever else they're in, like God knows, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, and I feel like it's not that they just accidentally fall into our algorithm. It's either like some
It's like
searches that they're doing that they don't tell
Oh,
people
100%.
about that puts them on our side, or they're looking to just be hateful.
Yep.
And it's easy to like put in the search bar whatever they're looking for and land on our content.
Yeah.
And that's draining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these people, they're not there in good faith. They're not trying to learn. They're not trying to have a dialogue with you. They're just there to spread hatred and ignorance.
Yeah.
Complete strangers.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's fucking exhausting.
yeah.
And I still, because I get that like every fucking day, and there are some that I'm just like, it can ruin my entire day.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
is silly because you're like, this is a fucking random, complete stranger on
right.
like maybe the other
Mhm.
side of the country, and I'm letting it get to me. But it's hard not to when it's like something so
Music.
deeply personal.
Yeah.
It's normal. We take in everything that's around us.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So whether it's positive, negative, or what, we have to take that in some way somehow. And there's only so much of like repellent that you can,
Yeah.
you still have to transform it into something, and that takes
Exactly,
some effort.
yeah.
Yeah. And if you're in a way, some
Mhm.
days I feel ugly, and if somebody online tells me I'm ugly, I'm like, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
When I'm feeling good, you can't tell me shit. But if I'm like not in the right headspace and I read that shit, it's just gonna feed right into
It's like, you're right.
my crap. I know. It's
Yep.
like, yeah, I am. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, you're
yeah.
right. It's like I have a certain amount of like bullshit tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wears down, and then finally, like, the dumbest thing can break through it, and I'm like, and that's usually when I'm like, okay, I need to take some time away.
Yeah. And sometimes I tend to not be like someone who responds back to people, but every now and again, I have to.
Yeah.
Like it just they'll just hit something just right, and I'll be like, and you're like,
Yeah, no, I get it. My fucking partner does that, and I'm like, you're gonna upset yourself.
Mhm.
And every once in a while I'll look and I'll see them just like curled up on the couch, just feverishly typing, and I'm like, why? Because and they will go through the posts, because some of the
Well, I think
memes or things that I've shared, they have like 20,000 likes or whatever, so like there's a buttload of like horrific
Nice.
comments on there, and they'll go through and they'll just like start these intense, and like my partner's really fucking smart, like really good at debate, all of these things, and I'm like, this is a really well articulated, like thought out point that you have, but this person's just gonna be like, haha, gay, or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
and then they get upset by it, and I'm like, you can't, it's not worth it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's sweet, but I know that it's just like,
They just want to protect you a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you just can't argue with these people.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't know, I could tell you about some of the conversations off of this, because, you know.
Yeah. A little bit. So, there are other folks that are probably in a similar situation that you're in. Is there anything that do you have any suggestions or messages to them?
Mostly just not to give up hope. Like, I don't know, I reached a point where I pretty much had before I went to TikTok and had that response, because I was just like, I'm literally begging at this point, because I can't do it by myself. Like, and I know there's so many people are in the same position. They can't financially be able to do it, or their job won't let them do it, or their family, you know, something stopping them. And it just, not to give up hope that it can't happen, and also not to give up hope that the place that you're at can't get better. Like, it can, and it should one day. But it's just being able to wake up every day and do that.
Right. And can you give us a sense of how long it's taken you to get to where you can, like, since you started to where you can leave?
Man, we've been trying to leave since we got together, and it's been almost 3 years. So
Okay. Yeah. I think that's important for people to understand too, that this wasn't
Not
like you just
overnight.
woke up one day and you were like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm gonna get on TikTok. I'm gonna raise quite a bit of money, and I'm just gonna bounce. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think I think that's really great that you said that too. Like, keep up the hope. Like, it took you 3 years to get to this point, and I will say that I think your video, you know, you might have just posted it in 6 days, and it was like, but you had to get to TikTok, and by the time you got to TikTok, like your desperation, your emotions came through very clearly in that video, and it probably took you 3 years of like really struggling and trying everything to get to that point.
definitely. I
I
tried to
feel,
stay.
yeah, no, I feel for you. I feel for you that that's been your experience. And I'm so happy that you are getting an opportunity for you and your family to go and have a new and better experience, an experience that you deserve and that we all deserve. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So, yeah, and that's partially really why I wanted to be on here, so that people could see that what's possible and that what it might look like or sound like to be struggling and then to choose to get away. Because I think a lot of people also feel guilty that they get to leave. Is that anything you've
Definitely.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have so many friends who are trying to do the same thing. They're all trying to get to Washington, and it sucks because, you know, like, it's like we were blessed with this, and they're not in that same position. Like, they're still struggling, and it's like, it's hard because I want to help all of them. I wish I could, you know, I wish I could just take up everyone with me, but, like, I can't, and I don't know, it's hard to separate yourself from that a little bit, because it's like, I care about them so much, and I want them to be safe, because they're in the exact same shit, but, like...
Well, and I think in other ways, they might choose to see what you're doing and see that it can happen for them too.
Yeah.
You know? So it doesn't have to be like, oh, they get to go and I'm stuck here. I mean, that's an attitude somebody could have about
Definitely.
it, right? And that's reasonable and okay or whatever. Or they could see what you did and the luck, or however way you want to like craft it or label, you're getting to go, right? And so they know it's possible.
Yes.
And I think that's just as important. And I know when people ask me like if I should go or, you know, stay or those sorts of things, there's definitely that idea of like guilt or something, you know, and it's just like, don't feel guilty. If you can go out and have a different and better experience for yourself, go freaking do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you want to go for whatever reason, you could want to go because like you can get surgeries and you want to get pretty and like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care.
Right.
Like, if that's go, you know, like there's no need to feel guilty or bad about it. We only live once, and there's no reason and there's nothing like powerful, or there's nothing more to, because what, you stayed here and suffered, like
Right.
there's nothing earned by that necessarily. If you choose to fight here, and like that's a whole nother thing too. And it's just like, I think the thing that's most important is like you do what you need to do for you, and like you and your family now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, and kind of move from there. Like I hope that more and more people leave that have even an inkling to go.
Yeah.
Because I think regardless of like transness or not, we were talking about another person who's moving away earlier, and I was like, I would tell a 20-year-old to move to San Francisco anyway, who grew up here, like regardless of the situation, especially a trans person, right? Because you can always come back home. Now there's all these extra layers of like, you know, our livelihoods are very restricted, and things are different here, so of course get the heck out, you know. So but I think outside of what's happening in the world, I'd still be like, yeah, go. You can always come back.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
People move all the time.
Totally.
You
Yeah.
know?
But I think when you're young, or you've always been in the same place, or you have like your group of people that you feel really good around, it's hard to just like get up and go. And I think that's the other challenge that you have, is like, okay, I'm gonna leave, and maybe I'm gonna have access to gender affirming care. I'm gonna feel safe walking down the road. But am I gonna be able to make friends? I'm gonna have to make new friends again. Am I, you know, because that takes time. And that takes, you know, so it's like, it's that, what's more important, or what is it that I need now to nourish me and make me feel good? Do I need to feel safe when I'm on the street, or I need to be close to my friends? And it's different for all of us at different times of our lives.
People can be weird about it too. I remember I had a conversation a while ago with someone who, they weren't trans, but they're queer. And I was talking about wanting to leave. This was over a year ago, so before the march, before any of that. And they said, in a way that I couldn't tell if it was intentional or not, but they said, oh, well, I wouldn't just leave. I'm going to stay here and fight. And it was so dismissive in the way that they said, I wouldn't just leave. And I was like, I shouldn't have to be on the front lines fighting this thing when there are other ways that I would rather be fighting. Like, I'm going to be going to law school. I want to be on the front lines from within and trying to be challenging these laws, right? That doesn't make it any less important or valid. Like, we all are fighting this thing in the ways that we have the capacity for, and they're all just as important and vital as the last.
It takes all of it. It takes all of it. Right?
Exactly. So I think, you know, maybe there's a sense of jealousy that some people can't leave, and like that's how they're, you know, justifying it to themselves. Like, oh, well, I don't need to leave because I'm strong enough to stay and fight. And it's like, we need that, but we also need everything else.
I've also been hearing a lot of people, like fellow queer people from Idaho, in my comments being like, oh, it's not that bad, you're being dramatic and all this and that. And I'm like, you live here. What do you mean? I'm like, it's all right, you enjoy your rights not being there. That's fine.
But also, I think it's a whole nother layer. Like, queer people, gays, lesbians, don't. Like, there's a difference in being trans. You know, there are some queer folks that are more non-binary appearing, or look like something's going on, so they might deal with crap, but for the most part they're not dealing with all the layers, because we feel the transphobia and discrimination and bias within our own community. You know what I mean? So it's like, even the safe places, the gay bars, the gay AA meetings, the like whatever, they're really not for us. You know? And so, but we have to kind of make it work. You know what I mean? And so I think there's that extra layer that, like, if I had gay bars to go to and gay clubs and things to do, then why would I go? But there's just not, there's a disconnect in that right now that I think some people just aren't understanding. And I lived as a fag for a while first. Like, I was a gay boy for like 40 years, so I was not the greatest. I had my own internalized transphobia and things going on, and I don't want to put that on to all other gay and lesbian people, but I know that was a lot of my own experience, and I had my own issues of being called a sissy and a girl, you're too girly and effeminate, and trying to like fight that perception and be like, no, I'm a dude who likes dudes, I'm not a dude that wants to be a girl, you know. And then kind of getting to the point, well, I can be a dude and like wear a skirt and be a bearded lady, and like, yeah, and then it's like, bitch,
Yeah.
you're a
Come
girl.
on. Yeah.
Maybe you're a
Be
trans
real
girl.
right now.
Like, just own it and go through it, you know. And
Mhm.
and it's been a journey, but because of where I was at, and
Right.
I did my best to try to like see trans people and understand trans people and be an ally. And in a lot of ways I was, but in a lot of ways I just was so blind. I was so unable to really see that they were having a vastly different experience than I was. And I had no concept for it until I started to live into it.
Right.
So I don't really blame people. It's their privilege, and that's what privilege is, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot of privilege,
It's a
especially
lot.
now. It takes a lot of fucking privilege to be able to tell someone it's not that bad. But it never goes over well if you tell them that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's your privilege showing, and then you're just like, okay, here comes this
Yeah.
whole ass meltdown. Right?
Well, it's the white people kind of thing.
exactly. Yeah.
Like privilege is a bad word, or it's just the truth. We all have privilege. At some point in
Yeah,
time, in
of
certain
course.
settings and certain environments, we have certain privilege. There's
Mhm.
pretty privilege. There's racial privilege. There's age privilege. There all these different sorts of things depending on where you're at, and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And you can either recognize that or feel some sort of way about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just think that privilege could be used in more effective ways than, bringing people down that are going through it. Like people with privilege could be phenomenal allies if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Maybe we should,
Ally.
harness that privilege in other ways. Yeah.
Ally.
Allies.
Ally.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes. Well,
that's good.
I know.
I think,
Feeling like that's an episode. Is there anything else you would like to say or talk about? Do you have questions about anything, or that you?
Not really.
No?
yeah.
Can folks still help you out? Like, are you still in need?
Yeah, just like really looking for connections right now, kind of just trying
Okay.
to find somewhere to go. So that's the biggest struggle right now.
Awesome.
So
Okay. So you haven't necessarily found like a city or an area that
not
you
a
want
definite
to go?
yet.
So you're pretty open.
Yeah.
It's really just the
Oregon
right
or
opportunity.
Washington.
Right. And then the right opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely include your contact through TikTok.
Yep.
Probably the best way, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
just my TikTok. Probably.
okay.
All my links are
Yeah,
there.
I'll put all your links in the description of stuff, so if folks want to get a hold of Asher and stay connected and follow your journey, they can check it out there.
Totally.
And I wish you and your wife and your baby to be a wonderful journey.
Thank
and
you
I hope
so
you
much.
stay in touch. It's really good
Definitely.
to get to meet y'all.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
And we keep looking over there because Jordan's off camera, but
Yeah.
but that's why we're looking. So it's really great that you're all here with us.
Yeah.
today.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Of
you're going to
course.
have to let us know how it all goes because I'm really interested in the whole process.
Very much.
And it's going to be great
Thank
to
you.
be somewhere else.
We're very excited.
I'm rooting for Washington for y'all just because I
It
love
seems like
Washington
it.
so
Same.
much. And just
I miss
the
it.
sanctuary cities, I think if you have the opportunity to go to a sanctuary city, that's what I would want to do probably, just to be I am in the bluest.
Yeah.
The
Safest
bluest
place.
docks in the state. Yeah.
Can't touch this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, then your
100%.
transness isn't a thing, and you can be challenged with just being a father.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
a job in and of itself. And that's exciting and awesome, but
Yes.
it takes a lot to do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, sometimes we have to. Yeah, I'm just so happy for you. I wish you guys the best.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And when this is on, when you
Well-
can actually watch this, tomorrow will be the Transjoy Cafe. It's going to be from 12 to 4 at 6200 Garrett Street. And it's going to be barbecue and potluck and games. It's going to be a resource fair. We're going to have a lot of folks there with different resources that we need. And my partner's going to be there again doing chair massage, all sorts of stuff. It's gonna
Which
be
is
really
great.
fun.
I don't let no one touch me for massage. I'm that person.
And I took a picture of them
And
giving
no,
you a
they
massage
were I was
because
like,
you're both so white,
White.
and you were both getting so red, and I was like, oh shit,
because we're out in the sun, oh,
just red. Yeah, so it'll be a really good time, and I hope that if you can make it, that you come down and see us.
Yeah,
Spend
it's
some time
free.
with us.
There's food. There's bevies. If you want to sign up to bring some food, that's cute, but you don't have to.
Mhm.
If you're a vendor who wants a resource, a person who can provide a resource, hit us up. We have a little link on our stuff that you can sign up for if you want to run a volleyball game or do something. Just you know, like, this is basically family coming together. So it's like whatever people want to contribute.
That's so cool.
Contribute, yeah. We do it once a month too. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Okay, I think that's it.
Bye, bitches.
All right, see you next week. Big news, Boise. We're building something incredible. A private community for transjoy Boise is set to launch next month. This is your chance to sign up and get in on the ground floor. We are creating a space for connection, support, and growth, and we are looking for members who want to be a part of something special and professionals passionate about hosting webinars, leading in-person events, moderating discussions, and sharing expertise to enrich the trans community. If this sounds like you or someone you know, don't wait. Fill out our form located in the show notes and help us add value to this vibrant space before we officially open the doors.